Memorial Day week, I am taking a trip from my home in Houston, a little bit south of downtown, up to Lake Livingston. My plan is to camp in the National Forest for a couple of days at least, maybe longer, according to how the weather is, and hotel it a couple of days. Google Maps bike mode calculates it to be a 6.5 hour ride. I don't know what speed it's calculating it at. Plus, I'll probably stop periodically. Um, so it'll be interesting to see how my time compares to that time. I'm delayed a while on getting out because it is currently raining. I have the rain gear, but I really don't want to have to start off riding in the rain. So I'm going to wait. I looked at the weather.com's map, and there's a clearing in the rain in a couple hours or so. I'll probably just go to the coffee shop, hang out, do some different stuff, and just stay excited about getting out of town. It has stopped raining. The sky is still cloud laden, but at least I can get a start without rain. And I do have rain gear, so I'll be good to go. I'm anxious to get out of town, so I'm going to take the chance. So here's my bike ready to roll. It's not actually as heavy as it looks. Most of the space is taken by a tent and a sleeping bag, which is more bulk than weight. So I should be good to go. I can dump, sacrifice something if I need be, but I think I'll be good to go. First part of my trip goes along Brays Bayou to Columbia Tap Rail to Trail, and then Columbia Tap Rail to Trail to downtown. This is good because it is fairly low no traffic along the actual path I'm on, because it's a hike and bike trail, and then the rail to trail is a cycling trail, so I won't have traffic to contend with for the first few miles. Stopping off at the bank to put in a deposit, had an interesting thing with a medical clinic that I go into for exams and whatnot. Late last year, I had my general yearly physical, and paid whatever as usual, and I just got a check for $20 and a letter. They were saying they did an audit, and they discovered that they owed me money from my visit in late last year. I'm like, well, that's kind of cool. Medical service that actually does an audit and refunds. So I thought I'd take a break and have a bite to eat. A couple of interesting things happened that seems to illustrate a level of insanity with people. One incident was this woman with a large dog. She was walking on the hike and bike trail. She was in the lane going opposite me. Instead of forcing her dog to walk on the grass, she was letting her dog walk in the lane that was going in the opposite direction of her. So basically, she and her dog were taking up the whole hike and bike trail. I slowed down, and she didn't notice me. I was about to call out, then she happens to look up, and told her dog to get off the lane. she should have been more aware of her surroundings and not had the dog walking in the opposite lane anyway. I mean, there was grass easily. The dog could have walked on the grass, you know. A more dramatic indication of the level of insanity of at least one person was when I was at an intersection that I cross a lot, and I know that the traffic coming up to it tend to go right up and block the crosswalk. So as I was coming up to it, it was green for me and red for the cars coming up, but I figure, well, I better make sure these cars coming up right now don't just come right through the crosswalk and hit me. Well, good thing I did, because this one woman came right up to the edge of the road, basically blocking the crosswalk entirely. And I saw her, as I saw her coming up, I saw she was just looking straight forward. She was negligent of the point that she was passing through a crosswalk, red for her, with a potential of pedestrians that she might hit. And not whether she was aware that it was actually also a crossway for bikes, I don't know. But if I had started across, her quarter panel would have hit me. Either way, the way she came up completely blocked me from being able to go across. And there was still space behind her, so I motioned for her to back up. She backed up, but then she looks over at the symbol for don't walk, and started yelling about how it's don't walk for me. Now, okay, she's not aware of the point that at a lot of cross sections, that stays don't walk unless you push the button. But that's completely irrelevant with what she had done. She had came up too fast to the red light and crossed over a crosswalk in a way that, if people were doing what they had the right to do, would have gotten hit by her. Instead of her admitting fault and accepting whatever shame that came to mind, she felt like deflecting it off and blaming me for wanting to cross when the don't walk was don't walk. Completely irrelevant to her situation, but she tried to make it a dramatic. I mean, she was like, "Aah!" And I'm like, whatever, and went on my way. Take it for what you will. In my opinion, that shows a level of insanity. Okay, so I am now crossing over the Buffalo Bayou on the north side of downtown. It's going to take me on to a road I know, but I don't know how traffic this section is. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes. It's Sunday, so I'm hoping this area is not very trafficked. There is a bike lane, but on busy trafficked areas, bike lanes don't necessarily mean a whole lot. So I got time on my hands, so I'm just going to take my time and make sure I stay safe. So I thought this was interesting. I'm still inside Houston, having to take a detour because one of the streets is under repair. And on the detour, I discovered this horse in this area I just thought it was kind of interesting that the horse is in the city. Haven't seen, only horses I've seen in the city are the ones that cops have been on in certain areas. I got tired of going along the 59 frontage road, which is what my mapping indicated to do for an extended period of time. So I decided to cut over onto Old Humble Road, which showed that it was mostly north. I cut in east a little bit and northeast, and then cut over a little bit northwest, or it will, and then eventually goes back over to 59. But I just thought I'd take a shot of this. This is in the Humble area. I really like the look of this. This would be a cool place to live. It's not too far away from metropolitan area, yet has this really nice country feel. And at least until I get over to the freeway again, country smell. That's another reason I wanted to get away from 59. It's like the smell was just too much to cycle along with. Anyway, I'm a little exhausted from the ride so far, so I'm not talking well. I'll recap later. So I'm at Cleveland, Texas, the south side of Cleveland, Texas, about 2 stops away from 2025, which takes me into the Sammy Houston National Forest. And I saw this spot look kind of funky, decided to stop and eat, kind of a home cooking type restaurant, and now I'm on my way. One thing that is kind of an issue for me with these small town restaurants, and even some privately owned restaurants in Houston, are the religious displays. I try not to support financially things that have religious agendas, and when they bring it into places that to eat and other businesses, I just feel I'm kind of contributing to it. That's why I try to avoid eating at Whataburgers, because they've got the "in God we trust" kind of thing. But comes a certain point when you're hungry, and us atheists, or maybe, combination of atheists, non-believers, skeptics, we're probably still less than half of the population on average, and in Texas substantially less, probably less than a quarter of the populace. But so you just got to deal with it. But in this particular restaurant, the food was good, people were nice, they were interested in the Trike, but then you start looking around and you see religious symbology and texts, and it's like, oh man. This is on the first part of 2025. A bit more traffic than I remembered. It's probably, feelings of kind of relativeness. Other times I've been on this road, it's been with a motorbike, and so paced with traffic, don't realize how much traffic there is, but still not bad. You can see I got a pretty wide area to ride in, away from the traffic. So I am not actually in the National Forest area yet, so we'll see how it goes when I get up there. Yay! I made it to the National Forest. That was an interesting ride. Whoa! Dogs! Get out of here! People letting their dogs out loose. In the country, I guess that's expected. Anyway, this is a landmark for me. Well, I tell you, this is supposedly, at this point, about 60 some miles from my starting point. It's definitely a different feel than riding around town and hitting 60. A lot more stopping points in the city, I imagine. But either way, it feels good. Feels like a physical accomplishment. Glad I'm here. So this is a restaurant in Cold Springs, Texas. I wanted to note it because it's a kind of a sign of progress. The previous segment was showing the interior. When I was last here a few years ago on my motorbike, the interior was chock full of pictures of Reagan era politics. And this time all those were gone, and it had artwork instead, and it is under new ownership. And apparently new ownerships aren't quite as conservative, although they still have Fox News playing on the TV. After breakfast, I decided to take a walk around the immediate area in Cold Springs. Thought there's some cute elements. It's at kind of an intersection on the way to the Lake Livingston Dam. So it's kind of tourist quiche, but you know, a certain amount of country tourist quiche is kind of cool. Especially it kind of shows a certain local flair in some cases. I mean, there's some manufactured country elements, but meaning, you know, outside influences, but that can be a good thing. Like the restaurant I was just pointing out probably has some outside influences to be less conservative, but I don't know, I still like country tea. So I'm going to be going up to the Lake Livingston Dam area. Might have to go all the way into Lake Livingston city proper. My mobile connection isn't working in this area, although the coverage map indicated it did. So I'll you know, sightsee and stuff on the way, so it won't be completely boring. The road to Lake Livingston Dam doesn't have much of a shoulder, so I couldn't record as I went, but I thought I'd go ahead and do a little recording of the green area that I'm riding through. Not quite pristine nature, but still kind of cool for a change of pace. Alright, this is Lake Livingston Dam. I think, if I remember correctly, there was something here before besides just a river or creek, but they dammed it up to expand it. Either way, it's kind of a cool lake. It's not quite as heavily used as Conroe. There's some rain that passed over me. I got a bit wet, but oh well, that's part of the journey. Anyway, there it is. Hopefully you can hear me over the drone of the lawnmower that's here, but I just wanted to give a little bit more vantage points of Lake Livingston. There's an island out there that bit of a mystery to me. My goal was originally to actually go around the lake, right around the lake, but I may have to head back tomorrow because of internet connection. I told work I'd be able to check in, and I haven't been able to because of the coverage map being wrong for my service provider. Oh well. I've met some of my goals. One was to ride out of town and get into the country for a couple of days. The journey itself was the goal, just to have a out-of-town run. And this was also one of my goals, to be at a body of water. I haven't been around water nearly as much as I used to, and even then it wasn't as much as I wanted to. But occasionally I'll still get up, get over. That's it. Population 853. I've decided to head back to Houston. I had told work that my mobile service shows coverage in this area. Turns out it doesn't, and I found one spot further north, but I had basically made the decision of either relocating further north, which would be near the lake, but further away from the national forest where I was going to do some hiking and stuff, or just go ahead and head south and feel this is a win anyway for the accomplishments that I've done. And so I decided to take the later. I'll recap later on. I bought some smart water largely for the bottles yesterday because I realized on one particular stretch the amount of water bottles that I brought was kind of insufficient. Now, smart water, you know, it's okay water, but I read the blurb on the back, and it referenced, it compared itself to underground water and spring water, and the wording was, unless you like underground water, like spring water, which is misrepresenting both underground and spring water. And I just thought it was kind of a shoddy promotion to downplay underground and spring water. Underground water in particular can actually be pretty good because it's not been exposed to the elements as much, and it actually has minerals and other healthy benefits. Smart water is basically water with electrolytes added sufficient to do something for the taste. And I don't like that kind of promotion. I think it's a disservice to humanity. Now that sounds, for some people that sounds kind of like overkill, but I really think it is. There's too much negative advertising in the first place and false and misleading advertising in the second place, or third place. And I don't know, it misinforms the public. I'm not sure which came first, the advertisers or the politicians doing it, but it's like almost across the board. You got pretty much, every industry having some companies that have to diss other good products in favor of themselves. Like there's nothing really special they can really promote about themselves, so they have to give misleading negative information about others. And I'm starting to even see that in people's relationships, where it's like people don't have enough things in their life, so they've got to get into gossip and TMZ and stuff that's negative on other people. And I just think we need to revisit that aspect of our lives. I even get myself caught up once in a while in watching negatives and getting into the negatives more so than the positives. But I don't know, something worthwhile for further discussion. Thought it was interesting to find a street called Darwin, and on Darwin is a church. Downtown Houston at sunset with the Buffalo Bayou in the foreground.